What's the hardest thing for you to comprehend about the American culture?
How casual debt is. How easy it is to take loans and credit cards out in other people's names without their knowledge.
Having 2 weeks vacation, or no PTO for my current country. You have to take 2 weeks of mandatory leave in a public holidays. I get about 7 weeks vacation a year. Edit. This got way more attention than I expected. Reading through everyone's comments, it seems there is a huge gap between those with no to little PTO and those that get a decent amount. All of this is from the goodwill of the companies you work for, and not any federally mandated leave.
The biggest challenge for me was sales tax. Unlike in some other countries, sales tax is not included in the listed price of goods and services in the U.S. Additionally, the sales tax can vary from state to state, anywhere from 0% to over 10%.
Super rich televangelists like this Kenneth Copeland I learned about on Reddit.
Canadian here on spring break and can't get over the I don't know how to say it, baseline education level. There are smart people, but there are also completely uneducated people. Like, the divide is massive.
Entering America from Canada is strange. Immediately I see billboards about abortion and religion law.
School mascots. Where I live, we just have teams and just play matches against people. In America, it's all like, go East Town Eagles. OOGACHACKA. And there would be some person in a cheapo Eagle suit spinning a basketball on his fingers or something. You would have a full dramatic cheerleader dance-off before your match. We just shake hands and stare at each other.
Entree means main course.
Americans love French fries, cheese, and gravy, but poutine never took off south of the border. Always found that odd.
Zero tolerance. Who came up with that? The victim is the one who is. Either he gets bullied or he gets a penalty for defending himself.
A lot of people follow and worship politicians like the gods, flags and all that. In the UK it's universally acknowledged that we hate all politicians pretty much equally.
Having to tip almost everywhere. It definitely makes sense at some places, but feel like we have to tip at the most random of places these days.
I speak as a Latin American. Just setting that down on the table. I don't get why people think that using something from my culture or showing interest of Latin culture is culture appropriation. I've spoken to a lot of people in my culture about this thing and we all think it's. If you think like this, I would like to talk about it and understand where it comes from. Not mad, I just simply don't understand it.
Your healthcare system, so complicated and expensive. And people going bankrupt because they get sick. What bullshittery is this?
Hearing the bald eagle screech every time I unwrap a slice of American cheese.
Why they don't include tax in the total price of something. Just include it and make life easier. I don't want to have to do maths every time I go there and buy something.
You are allowed to drive a car at 16, own guns and sign up for the military at 18. But alcohol, behold the devil's liquid, is only for 21 plus.
Bribery, what the why do you have to do your taxes? If the government, in the end, knows if what you paid was what you actually owed, why not just tell you?
Private health insurance that is tied to your employment. And sucks. And yet 50% of the population vehemently defend.
How dental and eye care isn't included in health insurance.
You Americans seem to have both the smartest and the stupidest humans on earth coexisting in your country.
MMDDYY.
How there is no federal guarantee for things like PTO, sick leave and paid maternity leave. Edit. I am from the USA. As far as I can find, no state guarantees it either. There are laws on if vacation is offered and regulations surrounding that. But no state says you must offer a minimum amount of by PTO I mean paid vacation. There are several states with requirements for sick leave. My company refers to PTO and sick leave separately and I did not make the distinction.
Living to work.
Tipping being for some reason seen as mandatory, to the extent that people say if you can't afford to tip 10% or more then you shouldn't even go, people assuming for some reason that I'm American? No idea why I would be writing this comment if I was American. I'm not, and that's why your culture that expects customers to pay waiters instead of the restaurants paying them properly is utterly insane to edit. Learn from this comment that in much of America, servers do not get the minimum wage and literally rely on tips to afford food and housing. This is news to me, and I'll be a lot more considerate of American servers now that I know. I had assumed that it was like most countries, where the waiters are paid a standard wage and get tips as a bonus, which is why I felt that it was entitled to expect a large tip from every customer. So my new answer to the original question is, I can't comprehend how American servers are paid well under minimum wage and it's treated as normal.
How you find the word cunt so offensive?
For me, as a resident of Russia, the following is very strange and incomprehensible. Asterisk walking in shoes at home, asterisk eating large meals in restaurants, and an overly consumerist saying hello even to strangers and complimenting them. We rarely do this, we are often shy. P.S. I have nothing against Americans. You are great people.
As a general rule, it's how lovely Americans more of a culture of being effortlessly welcoming than I've seen emigrated and have never had an ounce of hate. It's been the opposite. People will be nice, won't cross the line when it comes to banter, are really careful not to offend, and will offer you their spare room when it's all done with a confident, optimistic and now some gold. Thanks mate.
American here, I still don't understand why we can't just try something outside Republican or Democrat. Everyone always acts like the two-party system is great, but nobody is ever happy with the results. Edit, RIP inbox. Thank you everyone for your interactions.
Water. Why are Americans so weird about water? I've lived here for 20 plus years and it still makes no sense to me. So many people will drink Coke or juice or Gatorade all day. And if they do drink water, it needs to be ice cold or flavored with Mio or some. Like just drink the water. I've heard people say, oh I don't like the do you mean? Do you also not like breathing air? Do you breathe in Febreze all day?
The widespread prevalence of completely unnecessary non-medical circumcision in infants. Is it something to do with the country's Puritan origins? Were they trying to prevent or what? I don't get it.
How caring about other people is a political stance and not just common decency.
That's why I recommend Bad Credit, the new awesome product that makes your information useless to everyone, including you.
I was so shocked by this the first time I went to America and turned the TV on. They have adverts for antipsychotics and then have a minute-long, speed-read list of side effects at the end. So unbelievably bizarre.
It is crazy. You'd think doctors with all their education and training and knowledge should be telling you what medication to take, but instead it's, ask your doctor about this medication.
And they don't always tell you what the medication does in the you need Kapekuzalate. Less than commercial shows people walking on a beach, sailing, playing craps in an alley, bobbing for apples greater than, ask your doctor if Kapekuzalate is right for you're just supposed to ask your doctor, hey, should I be taking Kapekuzalate? And your doctor is like, no, that's for menopause and you're meanwhile you've now paid for a doctor's appointment. Another bit of American weirdness.
Where?
You don't hear about this angle much, but it's kind of a political and cultural issue. Opponents of taxes want them very visible to the person paying. They're put into the prices. You're not thinking about them, annoyed by them.
I'm American and trust me, most of us are aware that these dudes are scumbags.
I grew up with parents who followed and sent money to him and the likes of him. They teach that if you give your money to the church, and to them, will bless you with prosperity and you'll be rich. 43 years later, my dad is still poor. Still gives 10% of his money. My mom was listening to Kenneth and Gloria Copeland's healing teaching recordings as she died from cancer.
Real reason, No Child Left Behind. Instead of reforming the obsolete Cold War-era economic, educational system, or bringing low educational requirement manufacturing jobs back to the US from China. Thank you Reagan, Nixon, Carter. The government decided everyone needed a college degree. And to eat each other alive for the tiny amount of living wage jobs that might exist in the which never came to be. Turns out the notion of, America doesn't need factories, we can export ideas, doesn't exactly employ entire towns like a factory can. Who knew? So in order to grease the high school to college debt pipeline, the government brought in No Child Left instead of reforming the system. It lowered standards, made federal funding fixed to test scores, killed teacher authority, embraced zero-tolerance policies, and ensured that even hungry, tired, mentally ill teens could achieve a now worthless diploma. It was trickle-down education, because why let a good chance for create debt slaves go to waste? When I was in school, we were told the truth. We had 5 options for the future. 1. Join the military and get ready for Iraq. 2. Accept college debt and gamble on the future. 3. Sell. 4. Be homeless. 5. Suicide. But hey, us choosing to be born non-rich. Better luck next, protested, but the state government's response was, get back to work, or get a real job. Public schools have gotten so bad that teachers have a saying. Kids don't drop out of high school. They drop out of second grade and hang around for 10. Now across the US we have conservative parent groups demanding a say on what the public school teaches, which amounts to censoring history, science and bringing religion into schools. We have special needs kids in regular classes with a ratio of 30 kids to a teacher, if they have a teacher at all. Some districts are so desperate they're hiring permanent. Our science teacher did not believe in human. Thank you for the blah blah. Go register to vote. Voting is free. Registering is free. It's easy and fast. Vote in the primaries. If you can vote in the primaries for both parties, do so. Research your candidates and vote often.